How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. There's a massive Bitcoin opportunity. Time is ticking. You have to act now. There's something massive that's going to be announced tomorrow. There's something massive that's going to be announced this week. There's not much time left, and I want to make sure you have a sense of urgency about this. We have Bitcoin hitting 100,000 again here today, right? This is the third day in a row. We've been hitting right around 100,000, and volatility has slowed down a little bit. You can see big candle when we hit 100,000. We went up to 104, then right back down to 92. Then we moved right back up to about 98,000. Now we're sitting right at 99,000. Not much volatility here today, but get ready. There is a lot of news coming. There's a lot of volatility coming. I want to go through this. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos like this. Stay through to the end of the video. If you have to, go hit the little gear icon, put it at 1.25 speed, and make it through to the end of the video because there's a lot of important stuff that's happening this week. If you want to trade crypto, there's a link to BTCC underneath the video. You can get a deposit bonus on your first time deposit, an extra 10%, and you get lower trading fees. So definitely check this out if you want to leverage trade or spot trade. Of course, make sure you understand what you're doing because there's a lot of risk when it comes to leverage trading or using exchanges. So do your own research, but let's get into it. As you can see, we've been setting higher lows pretty consistently. With the exception of this massive wick where we just had a bunch of liquidations. Higher low, higher low, higher low. That looks familiar. Hey, we've had this a lot of times in the past where we hit slightly higher lows. It was extremely bullish for price. I'm quite bullish on this market, and part of that is just because there are so many buyers. Demand for the US Bitcoin ETFs continues to be strong. We saw over 2 billion bought last week. It's like 2.5 billion to 3 billion bought last week. And keep in mind too, they're not the only buyers. Michael Saylor, for the last 3 weeks in a row, on Sundays, has said a possible blue-green imbalance. So about 12 to 14 hours from now, you might see this again. Another sign that they are going out there and buying billions of dollars of Bitcoin. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. That will be fun. Even if they don't buy, the fact is everyone seems to try to buy it right now. Everyone's trying to buy. And the cool thing is, I say that there's this massive opportunity. We're seeing all these things change, whether it's BlackRock and some of the largest institutions in the world getting onboarded. This week, Charles Schwab said that you should have 10% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind, essentially. We have Putin saying no one can stop Bitcoin. We have the U.S. Treasury Department saying that Bitcoin is like digital gold in a decentralized finance world. They say it's a store of value. Now, some people say it's a speculative asset. Some people say it's digital, that's a store of value and it's a savings account. I've seen both. I think it's different for different people. But you have to respect it, right? Just like real estate's different for different people too. Some people buy real estate with the idea of cash flowing. Some people have real estate to speculate. Some people have it for an appreciation play. Some people have it as a tax write-off. But the fact is, they're in it because it performs well, right? Or they think it's going to perform well. Same thing with Bitcoin, and it has been performing quite well. The U.S. Treasury Department calling it digital gold. We have Jerome Powell saying very similar things this week. Like everyone is on board now or taking a look at it and investing in it or considering investing in it. There's not one, I think, large company in the world or one hedge fund in the world that's not looking at Bitcoin. On the All In podcast, they just said that the MicroStrategy bonds are the hottest play on Wall Street right now. Chicken Genius says Trump is buying ETH. The president is buying ETH. Go verify for yourself, and has this link to the transactions. Keep in mind, we don't always know what's happening with these transactions. Like if he's getting paid for something, he had those NFTs. If he's actually buying actively, it's hard to tell. But the fact that we're even having this conversation, the fact that the president of the United States or the president-elect has Ethereum, has issued NFTs, has issued cryptocurrencies, is very pro-Bitcoin. This is going to be an insane period of growth over the next 4 years. Chicken Genius also says a country will adopt Bitcoin next week. Bookmark this. Now, I don't know where he's getting his information. He's pretty well known. He's got a big internet personality. And Mike Alfred, who has been a really good source of news over the last, 4 or 5 years in the crypto market, says, you were warned. So do they know something we don't? It could be something like this. Czech Republic scraps capital gains tax on Bitcoin held for 3+ years. I said stuff like this would come out, where these companies or these countries are trying to get Bitcoiners in. There could be a variety of reasons for this. They could have some kind of rollout where they want to buy Bitcoin as a country. They realize there's not going to be a lot. So eventually you might be able to like sell or get zero taxes on your Bitcoin if you spend it like on property, right? You go buy a $1 million house for 1 Bitcoin, let's say in 5-10 years, and you don't have to pay any capital gains tax on that Bitcoin. The person that's receiving the Bitcoin doesn't actually receive the Bitcoin. It's just swapped out at a national level for currency. That'd be like a really easy way of just getting swaps all the time and getting people to really want to move to your country, because you have all these Bitcoiners that have been in since, I don't know, 20,000, 50,000, 500, and they can move over there and then buy real estate without having to pay that 15, 20, 30% tax. So I think more things like this are going to be coming down the line. And that's where things get really interesting, where you don't want to sell Bitcoin because then there are taxes. You just hold it as a savings until you want to spend it. And that's also very bullish for Bitcoin's price, because then it goes from people are just speculating at selling it all the time to no, you should hold on to this, because if you actually use it, and it's not going to be sold, right? It's just going to be transferred over to a government, which people have their own thoughts on that. But instead of selling it, there's less selling pressure. People are trying to buy it all the time, but not sell it. So it'll be really interesting to see how that all works out. But Dennis Porter, who has been on the cutting edge of everything Bitcoin legislation, the strategic reserves, he says, do not wait to buy Bitcoin right now. Let me say it again. Do not wait to buy Bitcoin right now. The price has skyrocketed to 100,000, and the so-called experts screaming for you to wait for it to crash are nothing more than opportunist predators, salivating at the chance to prey on your fear that the price is too high. These shills, the con artists, are orchestrating a classic effort to suppress the price so that they can get more Bitcoin for themselves, lining their pockets while leaving you with even more expensive Bitcoin. Be smarter than you think you are. Bitcoin always goes up. Do not sit around and wait for it to drop. 60,000 or lower is never going to happen again. Before even thinking about investing, don't be fooled by their greed and lies. The people flooding Bitcoin at this price are not your friends. They're the reason so many hardworking folks get left behind. Stay vigilant and don't let the scammers win. Imagine we hear that Peter Schiff, the biggest Bitcoin hater, has been buying Bitcoin over the last 5 or 10 years. Is it a 200 IQ play? Is it the scummiest thing alive? Yes, it's probably both, right? He's gotten some people to not want to buy Bitcoin. He probably would have made a lot more money if he had just turned pro-Bitcoin, brought a lot of people to his funds and screamed from the rooftops, hey, buy Bitcoin, I'm buying Bitcoin. But there are going to be people like this that try to FUD Bitcoin to manipulate you and then buy your Bitcoin off you. So yeah, be careful. Dennis Porter says, do not wait. And the cool thing is, I talk about there's a massive opportunity and that you should hurry up, that there's only 24 hours left. Like I say all that stuff because I do want to instill a sense of urgency. We can buy Bitcoin before nations right now, at least so far as we know, right? Before the US buys Bitcoin, you can buy it. Now, there is a finite amount of time that's the case. President Trump is going to be inaugurated, I think January 20th, 26th, something like that. So you have about a month and a half. You have 45 days. After that point, you will be after Trump. You will be after Putin. You'll be after China. You'll be after all the massive powers in the world. And the fact is, they are not price sensitive. I've said this many times. They are not price sensitive. They don't care if Bitcoin's 140 or 60,000 or 258,000. They can buy pretty much as they want. I mean, look at the U.S. debt, $36 trillion. That's 18 times the size of Bitcoin. Okay, so they're not price sensitive. They don't care. They can print money. They can sell things. They can go out of their way to increase budgets. They can do this. Now, will they do this? We don't know for sure. But the fact is, we do know that things could change very quickly, and then you're just left behind. Left behind. You bought in after BlackRock. You bought in after all the billionaires. You bought in after the U.S. Like, there's going to be a constant bid at that point, so the price will probably still go up. But you're going to have to buy in at a much higher price. So that's why I say, like, if you're interested in Bitcoin, first of all, don't buy if you don't get it, because then you'll probably panic sell. You'll be one of these people that buys at 100,000 and sells at 90,000, right? So like, as much as I want to tell people to buy Bitcoin, I don't tell them to buy Bitcoin. That's why I have a YouTube channel. So you're already searching up Bitcoin news. If you're watching this video, you're already interested in it. So if you're interested in buying Bitcoin, I'd say, yeah, if you know what you're doing, if you've already bought Bitcoin before, buy wherever you're comfortable with. If you're new, try to dollar cost average, because otherwise psychologically still you'll get wiped out, right? You go, let's say you have $1,000 to invest and that's all you have to invest, and you go put it all into Bitcoin right now, and then it crashes down to 85,000, you'll probably sell, or a lot of people would. So instead of doing that, just dollar cost average. Get your psychology right, because it's more important to be in this for a long time and to keep on putting capital into it than time it perfectly over the next day or two, right? Now, I'd say you should still invest, but I don't know your situation. So do your own research on that. Michael Saylor, green dot, blue dot, imbalance. Be on the lookout for this tomorrow. You still are earlier than a lot of nations. You're still earlier than some financial institutions. You're still earlier than most big companies. So yeah, there's still a lot of potential here, but keep in mind, there's going to be volatility. There's going to be downside. You have to be willing to take that risk. Think over the next 4 years, not over the next 4 weeks, right? And maybe you're already in crypto. You've been in crypto for a while. So then if you're in that scenario, maybe think about it over the next 4 months or the next year, year and a half or something like that. Obviously, things can fundamentally change, right? If you're thinking, I have a short-term time horizon on Bitcoin, I'm going to try to get out this cycle, but then there's a strategic reserve and they announce that they're going to start buying Bitcoin, or there's states that are buying Bitcoin, like maybe you want to change your plan a little bit for how you're going to take profits. Now, I'm going to take profits aggressively on altcoins. I plan on selling all my altcoins this cycle. And honestly, if I sell a majority of my Ethereum at 8,000 and then it goes up to 13,000, okay, whatever, right? Assume, even if it never comes back down, I made a ton of money on it. I'm happy with that. We'll reevaluate when there's the next dip. Same thing with other altcoins, but with Bitcoin, it's a little bit different. You have these massive buyers. And the cool thing is you're starting to see massive buyers on Ethereum too. I was actually just going through and I saw around, I think it was $750 million this week from just Fidelity and BlackRock buying the Ethereum ETF. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Be ready for anything. Be ready for volatility. If you do want to trade crypto, like I said, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you're willing to take the risk. You can be wiped out in a variety of different ways, but we have been making some good money. You can see 400%, 276%, 150%. These are some of the more conservative positions. I've been absolute degen and made like 20x in a week or two, on some trades that are really high leverage, but those are really risky. So you don't always win those trades. But again, you can check out that link to BTCC in case this is something you're interested in. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next one.